I didn't know him that well before the motorbike accident. I started to get to know him a bit more after that. I'd seen how he had been injured the year before and had kind of done seemingly nothing, no training, and come out and run like a low 150, 800, which is incredibly impressive. And then after the accident, I was worried that he was going to get lost and despondent, and I saw huge potential there. And so I just kind of wanted to try and help him out almost as a friend rig to start with. And then, as that kind of went on, that kind of developed. But I think I've been around St Mary's for quite a while. I used to train with Andrew Saji, and I thought I would never meet anyone that's as physically capable as he is. Like, he can just turn it around from injury to running well in no time. And then Elliot came along and I was like, wow, he's even better. And it was just such a raw talent. He didn't have hardly any experience. He'd had lots of injuries and no consistent training. It was just this huge potential there.
I'd watched him in the summer run, and so I knew who he was. I knew he'd had problems previously, and he was quite impressive in the summer regardless. So I had a long conversation with him on the phone, and I can remember having the conversation, and then said, okay, we can help you. So I took him to see Trevor Pryor, who's uber famous podiatrist, someone I've worked with who's, I know him from football, professional football there. So I first met him at West Ham, and I rate him really highly. He helped sort out my foot problems. So, I knew what he was capable of, and I also knew his reputation. So I took him in there, 3D gate analysis with the guys, started working out what was wrong. But it was a start to find out a solution. It didn't give us a solution. The solutions was coming later, but it gave us somewhere to start with. And we went back to basics. We really went back to the beginning.
I think a lot changed after my crash, actually, because I was sort of that guy that would I'd train for 3 weeks, train like an absolute moron. I'd train far too much, too hard, too intense, and I'd get injured. Then I'd spend 3 weeks out, and then I'd train for another 2 weeks, spend another 4 weeks out, train for 3 weeks, spend 4 months out, or something silly like that. And I think after having a crash, it sort of taught me to sort of slow down, and things went into reverse. So I sort of flipped training on the head, and what we done was we slowed things down, and as opposed to killing myself every session, I would take it and just think, right, I just need to get to the next day. And working with Matt sort of taught me day by day, hour by hour is the way we had to tackle things. So if we could get through the next hour and get through the next day, it was just building blocks, and we just kept building upon that. As opposed to just trying to kill myself in every single session, we would just concentrate on getting to the next one until I'm at a point where I am now, where I can actually push myself relatively hard. Again, not as hard as I'd like to, but I can push myself to a point where I can work hard and I can become robust, but without having to overdo it every single time I've run or session.
So we had to change all the training round after watching it to learn him as an athlete, and it's very difficult because I'm not saying that what happened before with his coaching, but it wasn't done right. So whatever he'd done, he was always going to be short term to get him to the track season, and then we'd start working with him over the winter. So it was always going to be really difficult. And then to understand him as well with his problems, we had to take him to lots of doctors and specialists.
So we started kind of just doing really simple stuff. You know, we were throwing a tennis ball to him while he was standing on one leg. His balance and his proprioception was just not that great at that point. And so we were just doing small things. And then when it did come to training sessions, you know, to try and take his mind off just running as hard as he could, we would start playing around with, you know, pretending we were in a race scenario. You know, I want you to kick at this point, I want you to rein this one back in, I want you to, just so he had something else to think about, and to try and develop that racecraft, that because he'd had so many injuries he hadn't really acquired yet.
Yeah, it was interesting. So Brewer was, I'd say, James Brewer was the guy who laid, so if I just describe it as a house, and Matt always describes it as a house as well, and James Brewer dug my foundations for my house to make me strong. So he dug the foundations and began laying them, although he didn't quite lay them. So we started building our house, and then Matt then took me on to laying the foundations and started building his house. And Matt's taken me to the point now where I think we're about halfway up the house. We haven't quite put the windows in, we haven't laid the roof yet, but we've got strong foundations, we're building the house, we've laid the bricks, and we're slowly getting there. And Matt, yeah, I mean, in sort of only like 6 months he took me to the Olympics, so that says a lot about Matt as a coach himself. Albeit I think I'm quite talented myself, and I think I work hard enough, but I think without him it may well have been a different story last year.